So technically, you would be correct in saying that there once was a golf course in the south end of the peninsula that was being rented from the family of a retired quasi-pirate. Hi, my name is Chris Melnick, and I'm a realtor in Halifax, Nova Scotia. In this video, I talk about cool forgotten parts of Nova Scotia again. Now, all four of these things were found on a surprisingly high-definition map of the peninsula that I came across, originally made in 1935. I'll put a link to this in the description. When I really started looking into what the map said, I went down a series of rabbit holes. So here are the four best rabbit holes that I came across. Number 1, a West End airport. In 1931, an airport was constructed where the Halifax Shopping Centre and part of the Westmount subdivision now stands. It was called Chebucto Field because it fronted Chebucto, and it was basically a field looking nothing like the airports that we have today. In this aerial picture, it just looks like a farm, but it did have some thought to it. It operated until 1941 when it was leased to the federal government as an army camp during World War II. And during that time, Shearwater became Halifax's airport. Construction of our current airport in Gough started in 1955 and was chosen because it was deemed the least foggy place relatively close to the city to build an airport. The Halifax Shopping Centre started construction in 1961, and that part of the residential neighborhood of Westmount was built too, with many of the streets being named after people from the Air Force and Army. Number 2, a South End golf course. Opened in the early 1900s, the Goresbrook Golf Course was an 18-hole course located where St. Mary's University and Goresbrook Park is located now. It was closed in the 1940s when the land was sold. But this gets a bit weirder. That land was owned at the time by the family of Enos Collins. Enos Collins owned a huge piece of land in the South End. Now, at the end of his life, Enos Collins was one of the richest people in the country, being a very successful businessman. But he originally made his money as a privateer, which is effectively a government-sanctioned pirate. So technically, you would be correct in saying that there once was a golf course in the south end of the peninsula that was being rented from the family of a retired quasi-pirate. Number 3, a South End prison. In 1844, the Northwest Arm Penitentiary was built right outside of Point Pleasant Park, where Inglewood Drive currently is, and it operated up until 1880 as a prison. But the building was still standing up until 1948. It was just used for different purposes over that time, like a powerhouse for generating electricity. And that's why it says Old Penitentiary on the map from 1935. And the rumor is that old pieces of this penitentiary were used in the construction of the expanded campus of St. Mary's University. Funny enough, the old penitentiary location now is the location for some of the most expensive homes in the province. Number 4, the Bedford Basin Hydroelectric Chocolate Factory. Yes, you heard that right. There used to be a chocolate and box factory in the Bedford Basin, and it was powered by its own hydroelectric generator station. Now, sometime in the early 1900s, Moore's Chocolate opened up a chocolate refining plant right near Hammonds Plains Road and Bedford Highway. Now, Moore's was one of the top chocolate companies in the country at the time, so this was a big deal. They were the ones who came up with pot of gold chocolates. Now, there is a little brook going from Paper Mill Lake to the Bedford Basin, and in 1932, Moore's built their own generator over this brook to power the factory. Now, Moore's was eventually sold in 1967, later to be resold to Hershey's. The factory was torn down, and the only thing that remains of Moore's is the power station, which was sold to the city of Bedford in 1987. You can still visit it, though. It's incredibly close to a Tim Hortons drive-thru. And those are 4 more cool forgotten parts of Nova Scotia. And if that sparked your interest enough to buy or sell a house on Inglewood Drive or somewhere else in Halifax, feel free to contact me. My contact information is in the description. Goodbye.